finally got more information about that super shady subpoena, and Ron is back.
Blake Lively is reportedly losing control after Justin Baldoni exposed the truth behind her fabricated text message scandal. From fake subpoenas to manipulating the media, she tried every trick in the book.
Lawsuits against these unnamed individuals were dropped or just...
The New York Times acted as a puppet, and now the so-called witch is unraveling, cursing everyone as her carefully constructed courtroom fantasy collapses.
Now we're seeing Blake actually do it with these sort of shady tactics.
Let's rewind to September 27, 2024, when something suspicious was filed in a New York court. Vance and Inc. versus John Doe's 110. Sounds like a Gone Girl sequel, right?
We finally now have learned what this so-called case was. Everyone's wondering where did this come from. It was from a case from Van Zandt Inc. versus John Doe's 1 through 10.
Except instead of a missing wife, it's a missing target. No names, no faces, just placeholder John Does. This lawsuit had no substance, no defendants, and no real purpose, except one sneaky detail. It gave Blake's team subpoena power. This wasn't about winning. It was about digging for dirt.
And more people did their due diligence to figure out, well, who's this Van Zandt? As we sort of learned out that was a company of Blake Lively's.
And who's behind Vance and Inc.? None other than Blake Reynolds. Oops, we mean Blake Lively, her legal married name. In this bizarre legal charade, she's not just the plaintiff, she's also the CEO, secretary, and CFO of Vance and Inc. Might, as well add head of snacks to the title. This wasn't a company, it was a one-woman scam operation.
It was owned by Blake Reynolds, her married name as the chief CEO, secretary, financial officer, etc. So it has now been confirmed that yes, this Van Zandt versus the John Does is clearly a Blake Lively lawsuit, but clearly was filed without anybody's actual name.
Here's the kicker. Public records tie Ryan Reynolds, yes, Deadpool himself, to this ghost company. His home address matches Vance and Inkian's listed address. Because why not drag your A-list husband into your legal circus? This isn't just shady, it's Twilight Zone level weird with a tax ID number.
Any lawyer will tell you do not file a complaint if you don't know the name of the person that you are suing, unless you're trying to protect that person's identity for some reason, which if you're pissed off enough to sue them, you probably don't care about their identity.
Fast forward to December 20th, 2024, one day after the Vanson case mysteriously vanished, Blake drops her official CRD complaint. So what was Vanson for? Just a smokescreen to grab confidential data, trash Baldoni's reputation, and disappear. Like it never happened. If this were chess, Blake's not just playing dirty, she's flipping the board mid-game.
Now I have questions because as we have both Brian Friedman and Lively's lawyers have sort of commented on this. Brian Friedman told the Daily Mail this appears to be an end around, stirring the process to be able to secretly get these documents without having to give anyone notice.
Now let's dissect Vance and Inc. This company had been inactive for 11 years. No products, no activity, no purpose, until it was resurrected from the legal graveyard to serve as Blake's revenge vehicle. You don't need a law degree to smell the stench here.
They have been inactive for 11 years, and Blake Reynolds is the CEO. When I saw this, I was like, how can we connect Vance and Inc. to Ryan Reynolds? And Blake Lively has we know there that
the lawsuit itself was a masterpiece of vagueness. It accused faceless John Does of violating corporate loyalty laws, but failed to specify who, what, or when. It was like suing a ghost. The only thing emptier than the case was Blake's credibility.
Ryan Reynolds on public records is the same address as Vance Inc. In the court documents. Also, these court documents are filed by the same lawyers and the company that represents Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds in their lawsuit.
Let's be clear. This wasn't about justice. It was a backdoor break-in disguised as legal action. The real goal, issuing a subpoena to one person, Stephanie Jones, Baldoni's former PR rep, who suddenly became the star of this subpoena circus.
It is public information. And the thing is, there's no other explanation for how that subpoena. So someone here is saying that this is called a store lawsuit, and it's common in celebrity lawsuits and ironic in smear campaigns.
Stephanie Jones deserves her own spin-off. She worked with Baldoni until August 2024, then, out of nowhere, got hit with a subpoena in October 2024. Suddenly, she's handing over messages and emails like they're free samples. No objections, no questions, just, here you go, enjoy wrecking my ex-client. Team player? More like traitor.
Stephanie Jones knew this and was not involved in any of this. She would have fought it and notified rapists.
Even weirder? Only one phone was subpoenaed, belonging to a woman named Jennifer Al. The rest of the PR firm was untouched. If you're hunting for evidence, wouldn't you cast a wider net? Nope. This was a sniper attack, not a legal process, but a hit job.
As I said before, why didn't they subpoena more people in Stephanie Jones' company? There were more people involved with Justin Baldoni. I mean, Stephanie Jones was also working.
And here's the cherry on top. Stephanie Jones is married to Jason Heyman, a senior partner at WME, the talent agency representing drumroll Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Conflicts of interest? Nah, let's just pass burner phones at dinner. Jones knew exactly what she was doing, violating NDAs and launching a legal torpedo for her client's enemies.
There's a lot of really sketchy stuff going on.
Insiders speculate Jones had an agenda, maybe anger over Baldoni leaving her firm, maybe a vendetta against Jennifer Al, or just currying favor with WME's elite. Either way, she allegedly handed over sensitive materials like, hey Blake, wanna ruin some careers?
The cell phone records from Jennifer Abel, they said they got a subpoena, which also allowed the New York Times to do this as well.
Blake didn't hesitate. The second she got wind of these messages, she allegedly weaponized her zombie company to file a sham lawsuit, grab a subpoena, and collect dirt like it was Uber Eats for legal warfare.
This is not over in any sense of the word. There's going to be a lot of questions asked by the Nat folks who signed it.
The timing? Chef's kiss. The Vanson lawsuit was dropped the day before Blake filed her CRD complaint. Coincidence? Hardly. She used Vanson to fish for dirt, got what she wanted, and ghosted the case like a bad date. This isn't influence. It's manipulation.
Amazon Inc., an active, possibly inactive company, is used as a front and has no active relationship with anyone in this scenario. It's used to harass and intimidate third parties for discovery.
Legal experts aren't fooled. They've called this a straw lawsuit, filed with zero intent to win, purely to manipulate the system. Meanwhile, Blake's out here playing humanitarian saint on red carpets, but behind the scenes, she's got more secrets than a mobster's burner phone. This isn't just messy, it's calculated, and it's about to backfire.
Being self-help in the current lawsuit that is in the New York District Court.
The audacity of Blake's legal team thinking they could reinvent the judicial system like a Pinterest DIY. Let's sue nobody. Let's write nothing specific. Let's just vibe a lawsuit into existence. Because apparently, in Blake's world, you can file a lawsuit without even knowing who you're suing. No names, no facts, just pure chaos and legal letterhead.
Right, because just 4 days after the filing, they issued a subpoena to Stephanie Jones, who willingly did it because Stephanie Jones had an axe to grind.
The Vanson Inc. strategy in a nutshell. A lawsuit so vague, so hollow that even Judge Judy would have tossed it before her first sip of coffee. No hearings, no defendants, no plot. Just a phantom case that served its shady purpose, subpoenas, and vanished like Blake's accountability.
Anything they could use their power to shut up and intimidate and take control of Justin Baldoni. It sure looks like that's what Blake did.
This wasn't about winning in court. It was about access. Access to emails, texts, anything they could weaponize. Vanson Inc. didn't want justice. It wanted the keys to Baldoni's private world. And to get them, they pulled the oldest trick. In the book, pretend you're legit, grab a subpoena, and run before anyone notices.
Lately, there's been a lot of talk about Stephanie Jones, the publicist who don't work, the one that gave out all the information from her co-worker's phone, and all those text messages ended up, as we know, in the New York Times.
The most insulting part? Justin Baldoni was never notified. You can't subpoena someone's private info and skip the, hey, we're stealing your communications memo. That's not lawyering. It's legal pickpocketing. Civil code requires notifying the affected party, but Blake's team went, nah, we'll skip that part.
Parties for discovery, official information that's off limit or out of scope. damage reputations, and it's extremely unethical.
Would the New York Times have touched this story if they knew how the evidence was gathered? Unlikely. They cited the subpoenaed info, unaware they might have been pawns in Blake's media puppet show, using illegally obtained materials to shape. Public narrative isn't journalism, it's gossip with a law degree.
Everyone's been speculating how was there a subpoena there if there was no legal information at that point.
Blake's next move? Hand-picking and slicing the stolen info to paint Baldoni as the villain. Context? Deleted. Balance? Ignored. This wasn't reporting. It was a defamation by design masterclass, with the media as delivery boys for her smear campaign.
A third party believe they're forced to comply, when in reality, they don't have to and confided in court.
If the Times didn't get the full story, and many legal experts believe they didn't, Blake's team fed them a script, omitted key details, and let them run wild. In 3 months, we went from fake lawsuit to subpoena to public takedown. This wasn't chaos, it was orchestrated.
We put this whole thing out to defame and go after justice.
Let's call this what it is. Not about truth, but control. Blake's team needed a narrative to back her December 2024 CRD complaint, so they used filtered messages, timed leaks, and legal loopholes to bomb Baldoni's reputation before he could respond. This isn't advocacy, it's coordinated defamation.
It's like, it's so shady to me that they can do something like this. That's why I was like, I can't believe this. This is just too suspicious. This is just
Blake Lively is reportedly losing control after Justin Baldoni exposed the truth behind her fabricated text message scandal. From fake subpoenas to manipulating the media, she tried every trick in the book.
This whole thing out to defame and go after Justin without ever letting him have a chance, or his legal team have a chance to do anything or respond, to me does seem incredibly unethical, and I guess that's my question.
The New York Times acted as a puppet, and now the so-called witch is unraveling, cursing everyone as her carefully constructed courtroom fantasy collapses.